stop for a moment. Just stop. Let the noise in your mind come to the surface. That endless chatter, those doubts, those fears, the endless to-do lists, the regrets from the past, the worries about the future. Do you feel it? That restless energy in your mind that never seems to settle. You might think it's a curse. You might think the struggles of your mind are holding you back from peace, from happiness, from the life you long for. But here's the truth that most people don't realize: your mind's struggles are not your enemy. In fact, they are the very key to your spiritual awakening. Let me ask you something that may shake you. What if the chaos in your mind is not a mistake, but part of the design? What if the very thoughts that torment you, the fears that grip you, the doubts that paralyze you, are all here to wake you up? Because they are. Every thought, every struggle, every mental storm is trying to reveal something to you. But most of us don't see it. Instead, we resist, we fight our thoughts. We try to silence them, suppress them, distract ourselves from them. And in doing so, we miss the greatest opportunity of our lives, the opportunity to wake up. You see, the mind is like a mirror. It reflects back to us everything we've buried inside our wounds, our conditioning, our beliefs, our fears. The struggles you experience in your mind are not random. They are a direct reflection of the inner world you've created over the years. And here's where it gets profound. The mind doesn't struggle because it's broken. It struggles because it's trying to show you what needs to be healed.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
I think about it. When you feel anxious, isn't your mind trying to point out a fear that hasn't been resolved? When you feel self-doubt, isn't your mind reflecting back a belief that you're not enough? When you feel overwhelmed, isn't your mind showing you how much of your energy is scattered and disconnected? The mind struggles because it is signaling to you. It's saying, look here, pay attention. There's something you need to see. But instead of looking, instead of listening, we distract ourselves. We scroll through social media, binge-watch TV, drown out the noise with anything we can find. And yet, the more we resist, the louder the mind becomes. Let me ask you something really deep. What are you running from in your mind? What thoughts do you avoid? What emotions do you suppress? What truths do you refuse to face? Because those are the very things that hold the key to your spiritual awakening. Awakening is not about escaping your mind. It's about turning toward it. It's about seeing the struggles of your mind not as obstacles, but as doorways. Now I know what you might be thinking. How can I possibly embrace my mind when it feels like my enemy? How can I face my thoughts when they overwhelm me? And that's a fair question. The mind can feel like a battlefield sometimes. But here's the secret: you are not your mind. You are the awareness behind it. You are the one observing the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. And the moment you realize this, everything begins to shift. Because when you stop identifying with the struggle, you can start to observe it. You can start to learn from it. Here's an exercise for you. The next time your mind is struggling, whether it's with anxiety, fear, doubt, or overthinking, don't fight it. Don't resist it. Instead, pause. Close your eyes if you need to. Take a deep breath. And then ask yourself, what is my mind trying to show me right now? Don't try to fix it. Don't try to change it. Just listen. Observe the thoughts that come up. Notice the emotions that arise. And ask yourself, what is this teaching me about myself? What you'll find, if you're honest with yourself, is that every mental struggle carries a message. Maybe it's showing you a wound from your past that hasn't been healed. Maybe it's revealing a belief you've been carrying that no longer serves you. Maybe it's pointing out a fear that's been holding you back. Whatever it is, the struggle is not here to punish you. It's here to wake you up. But let's go even deeper. Most of us don't realize that the mind struggles are rooted in one thing: separation. The mind struggles because it feels separate from others, from the world, from the divine, and even from ourselves. Think about it. Every fear, every doubt, every worry comes from this sense of separation. You fear losing someone because you see them as separate from you. You doubt yourself because you see your worth as separate from the infinite source of love and power within you. You worry about the future because you see it as separate from the present. But the truth is, there is no separation. It's an illusion created by the mind. Let me ask you something radical. What would it feel like to know, deep in your being, that you are not separate from anything? That you are one with the universe, one with the divine, one with all that is? Because that is the truth. And the struggles of your mind are here to lead you back to that truth. They're here to show you where you've bought into the illusion of separation so you can wake up from it. And this is where the journey of spiritual awakening begins. It begins when you stop running from your mind and start listening to it. It begins when you realize that every thought, every struggle, every moment of chaos is a teacher. It begins when you stop seeing your mind as the enemy and start seeing it as a guide that's leading you back to yourself. But awakening is not a destination. It's a process. And in the next part, we're going to dive even deeper into how to work with your mind's struggles in a way that transforms them into stepping stones for your spiritual growth. Let me know when you're ready to continue, because the next steps will change the way you see your mind and yourself forever. Let's take everything we just talked about and go deeper. If your mind struggles are not the enemy, if they are in fact the guideposts of your awakening, then the next question becomes, how do you work with them? How do you take this chaos, the doubts, the fears, the endless overthinking, and turn it into clarity, into peace, into the spiritual transformation you've been searching for? The first step is to recognize a profound truth. Your mind is not broken. It's easy to believe that your overactive thoughts or turbulent emotions mean there's something wrong with you. But what if I told you this isn't true? What if I told you that the very struggles you experience are not flaws, but invitations? They are the universe's way of calling you inward, of pulling you into a deeper relationship with yourself. So, let's start with how to approach this chaos differently. Most of us have been conditioned to resist our struggles. When anxiety arises, we try to push it away. When doubt creeps in, we try to silence it. When fear takes over, we distract ourselves or pretend it's not there. But here's the paradox: resistance only strengthens the struggle. The more you fight your mind, the louder it becomes. It's like quicksand: the harder you struggle, the deeper you sink. Let me ask you something. What would happen if, instead of resisting your mind, you welcomed it? What if, instead of fighting your doubts, your fears, your overthinking, you invited them in as if they were old friends? This is the secret to transforming chaos into clarity. It's not about fixing your mind. It's about making peace with it. Imagine this: you're sitting in a room, and your thoughts are like people knocking at the door. Anxiety knocks. Doubt knocks. Fear knocks. Most of us slam the door shut, hoping they'll go away. But they don't. They just keep knocking louder and louder. Now, imagine opening the door. Imagine inviting these visitors in, sitting them down, and saying, "What do you need to tell me?" This is the practice of awareness without resistance. When you stop resisting your mind, something incredible happens. The energy you've been using to fight your thoughts is freed up. And in that space, you can begin to see clearly. You begin to notice patterns. You begin to understand where your struggles are coming from. And most importantly, you begin to realize that you are not your thoughts, you are the awareness observing them. This brings us to the second step. Become the witness of your mind. Most people live their entire lives trapped in their thoughts, believing everything their mind tells them. But you are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. This distinction is the foundation of spiritual awakening. Here's a simple practice to help you cultivate this awareness. The next time your mind is struggling, pause. Take a deep breath. And then, instead of getting lost in your thoughts, step back and observe them. Imagine you're watching a movie. The thoughts are on the screen, and you're sitting in the audience. Notice the thoughts that arise. Notice how they come and go like clouds passing through the sky. And then ask yourself, who is the one watching these thoughts? This question, who am I, is one of the most powerful tools for awakening. It pulls you out of identification with the mind and brings you into the space of pure awareness. And in that space, you begin to see the truth. Your thoughts are not your enemies. They're just clouds in the sky of your consciousness. They come and go, but they are not who you are. But let's go even deeper. Once you've learned to observe your mind, the next step is to listen to what it's trying to tell you. Remember, your mind struggles are not random. They are messengers. They carry clues about your unhealed wounds, your limiting beliefs, your deepest fears. And if you're willing to listen, they can show you exactly where you need to grow. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're struggling with self-doubt. Instead of trying to silence it, ask yourself, where is this doubt coming from? Maybe it's rooted in a childhood experience where you were made to feel inadequate. Maybe it's tied to a fear of failure or rejection. Whatever it is, your mind is offering you an opportunity to heal. It's showing you the parts of yourself that need love and attention. Here's a question to sit with. What is my mind trying to show me that I've been unwilling to see? This is not always an easy question to answer. It might bring up uncomfortable emotions. It might force you to face truths you've been avoiding. But this is where true growth happens. Awakening is not about bypassing your struggles, it's about confronting them with courage and compassion. And this brings us to the most important step: learn to hold space for yourself. When your mind is struggling, it's easy to fall into judgment. Why am I still feeling this way? Why can't I just move on? What's wrong with me? But judgment only deepens the struggle. What your mind needs is not judgment, it's compassion. I think of your mind like a frightened child. When a child is scared, they don't need someone to tell them to get over it. They need someone to hold them, to reassure them, to let them know they're safe. Your mind is no different. When it's struggling, it's asking for you to hold space for it. To say, it's okay, I see you, I hear you, I'm here for you. Let me ask you this. What would it feel like to give yourself the same love and compassion you so easily give to others? Because that's what your mind is asking for. It's not asking to be fixed or silenced. It's asking to be seen, heard, and loved. In this process of holding space for yourself, you begin to unlock the deeper wisdom of your struggles. You begin to see that every doubt, every fear, every moment of chaos is an invitation to return to yourself, to heal, to grow, to awaken. But the journey doesn't end here. In the next part, we'll explore how to use the insights from your mind's struggles to create lasting transformation and step into your highest potential. Let me know when you're ready to continue, because the next step will take everything we've explored so far and turn it into a blueprint for awakening. Now let's take the profound truths we've uncovered and apply them at an even deeper level. You've begun to understand that the struggles of your mind are not random, they are purposeful. You've started to see how your fears, doubts, and anxieties can be invitations to heal and awaken. But the question is, how do you take these moments of inner turmoil and turn them into lasting transformation? How do you not only survive the struggle, but use it as a tool to evolve into your highest self? The answer lies in alchemy, not the ancient practice of turning lead into gold, but the spiritual alchemy of turning struggle into wisdom, pain into power, and chaos into clarity. This is the essence of transformation, taking what feels heavy, dark, and overwhelming, and transmuting it into the light of growth and awakening. Let me ask you something that may challenge the way you've been approaching your life. When was the last time you truly sat with your struggles not to fix them, but to understand them? Most of us are conditioned to think of struggles as problems to solve. But what if they are not problems at all? What if they are catalysts? What if the very things you're running from are the raw materials for your transformation? Here's where the alchemy begins. The first step to transforming your struggles is to reframe them. Most people see struggle as a sign that something is wrong. But what if struggle is actually a sign that something is changing? I think about it. When a caterpillar is in the cocoon, it doesn't just magically become a butterfly. It struggles. It breaks down. It dissolves into goo before it can rebuild itself into something new. The same is true for you. Your struggles are not a sign of failure. They are a sign that you are dissolving the old version of yourself to make way for something greater. So the next time your mind is in turmoil, stop and ask yourself, what is trying to emerge through this struggle? What part of me is ready to grow, to expand, to evolve? This question can shift your perspective entirely. Instead of seeing your struggles as something to fear, you begin to see them as an invitation to step into your next level. But reframing is only the beginning. The next step is to engage with your struggles consciously. Most of us either avoid our struggles or get consumed by them. But what would happen if you approach them with curiosity instead? Imagine your struggles are like a locked door. Behind that door is the wisdom and growth you've been searching for. But to unlock it, you need the right questions. Here are some powerful questions to ask yourself when you're in the midst of a mental or emotional struggle. What is this struggle teaching me that I couldn't learn any other way? What belief or pattern is this struggle asking me to release? If this struggle had a voice, what would it say? These questions are like keys. They open the door to deeper insights about yourself and your journey. And as you begin to uncover these insights, something incredible happens. The energy of the struggle begins to transform. What once felt heavy and overwhelming starts to feel purposeful. You realize that the struggle was never here to break you, it was here to shape you. But let's go deeper. To truly transform your struggles, you must also take aligned action. Insights alone are not enough. It's one thing to realize that your anxiety is rooted in a fear of failure, but it's another thing entirely to take steps to confront that fear. Transformation requires action. It requires you to step into the discomfort of growth and do the things your mind is telling you are impossible. Let me give you an example. Let's say your mind constantly struggles with self-doubt. You've done the inner work to understand where that doubt comes from. Maybe it's a fear of judgment or a belief that you're not good enough. That awareness is powerful, but it's only the first step. The next step is to take action that challenges the belief. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting, starting a project you've been putting off, or having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, every time you take aligned action, you are rewiring your mind. You are teaching it that the old belief no longer holds power over you. And here's the truth about action: it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it won't be. Growth is messy. Transformation is messy. But every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. Every time you face your fears, you are alchemizing struggle into strength. Now, let's talk about one of the most overlooked aspects of transformation: patience. We live in a world that glorifies instant results. But spiritual growth doesn't work that way. Just as it takes time for a seed to grow into a tree, it takes time for your inner work to bear fruit. Let me ask you this: can you trust the process, even when you don't see immediate results? Can you have faith that the struggles you're facing now are planting the seeds for the life you're meant to live? This is where surrender comes in. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting that the universe is working in your favor, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. It means letting go of the need to control the outcome and allowing the process to unfold in its own time. But surrender is not passive. It's an active choice to show up every day, to do the inner work, to take aligned action, and to trust that the rest will unfold as it's meant to. And as you do this, something miraculous happens. The struggles that once felt like burdens become gifts. They become the stepping stones that lead you to your highest self. So let me ask you one final question for this part. What would your life look like if you saw every struggle not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity? How would you show up differently if you believed, deep in your heart, that every challenge was here to make you stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true self? In the next part, we'll dive into how to integrate these lessons into your daily life and step fully into your power as the creator of your reality. Let me know when you're ready to continue, because what's coming next will help you solidify everything we've explored and transform the way you live every single day. Here's where everything comes together. You've learned to see your mind's struggles as invitations to grow. You've discovered the power of reframing chaos as a teacher and taking aligned action to transform pain into strength. But now comes the most important part. How do you live this truth every single day? How do you integrate these lessons so deeply that your awakening becomes a natural part of who you are, not just something you practice when life feels heavy? The first step is to understand that spiritual awakening is not an event, it's a lifestyle. It's not a single moment of enlightenment that magically fixes everything. It's a commitment to showing up every day with awareness, curiosity, and courage. And here's the paradox: the more you embrace this journey, the less you'll feel the need to fix anything. Why? Because you'll come to see that every moment, no matter how messy or painful, is already perfect. Let me ask you something profound. What would your life feel like if you stopped seeing struggles as problems to solve and started seeing them as experiences to embrace? This shift in perspective can completely transform how you move through the world. Instead of resisting life's challenges, you begin to flow with them. Instead of fearing your mind's chaos, you start to dance with it. To live this awakening, you must develop daily practices that keep you grounded in these truths. One of the most powerful tools is intentional reflection. Take time each day, even if it's just 5 minutes, to pause and ask yourself, what struggles arose for me today? What were they trying to teach me? How did I respond to them? This simple act of reflection allows you to stay connected to your inner growth. It helps you see patterns, celebrate progress, and redirect your energy when you fall into old habits. Because let's face it, you will fall back into old habits sometimes. That's part of the journey. But every time you catch yourself, every time you choose awareness over autopilot, you are strengthening your ability to live in alignment. Finally, to fully integrate this journey, you must practice radical self-compassion. There will be days when you feel aligned and awakened, and there will be days when you feel lost in the noise of your mind. Both are part of the process. The more you can meet yourself with love and acceptance, no matter where you are on the path, the more you will embody the truth of who you are. And here's the ultimate truth: you are already whole. The struggles of your mind are not here to fix you, they're here to remind you of the perfection that's always been within you. Every doubt, every fear, every challenge is a mirror reflecting back the infinite strength and wisdom of your soul. So let me leave you with one final question. What would your life look like if you fully trusted that every struggle, every moment, every breath is leading you home to yourself? Because it is. And the more you embrace this truth, the more you will awaken, not just in moments of silence or meditation, but in the very fabric of your daily life. This is your awakening. This is your power. And it's already happening right here, right now.